Today's video is going to be all about my top 10 fragrances for life. So if you want to find out more, then please keep on watching. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if it's the first time you are visiting today. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Hayley and I review fragrances. So as I already mentioned in the intro, today's video is going to be all about my top 10 fragrances for life. So let's imagine I was starting my collection from scratch. These are the 10 fragrances that I would repurchase first. Now, this doesn't mean they are the best fragrances in the world, but they are the 10 fragrances that I resonate the most with, I have a personal connection with, and that I really love wearing. And I think that is super important. It shouldn't be just about fragrances that we deem to be a masterpiece or a 10 out of 10. It should be all about fragrances that we just love wearing and that we have that really strong connection with. And I will try to explain why I have picked each fragrance from a standpoint of if I have a connection with it, if I enjoy wearing it, what the reason really is. So I guess let's jump in to my top 10 fragrances for life. But before we get started, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe to my channel. Of course, that is if you do not already. It really helps my channel out and I would love to have you as part of this amazing fragrance community. So let's start on my first fragrance for life. I just wanted to mention that I have filmed this video before. I will be filming this concept yearly and things will change. Some of the fragrances are the same and some of them are not. So the first fragrance is Fleur Narcotique by Nihilo. Now this one is very special to my heart. Probably doesn't look it because the bottle is full, but I did have a 50 ml of this before this, and this is now a 100 ml bottle. So I truly do love this. Now the reason why this is in my top 10 for life is because this was my wedding day fragrance of choice. I really resonate with this scent. It felt right for my wedding day scent. It was a spring garden wedding. It was outdoors, and this is such a beautiful floral fragrance that's sweet, a little bit sexy, very pretty. I just love Fleur Narcotique so much. There is an extrait version of this too. Some people prefer that one, some people prefer the original. I personally prefer the original. Some people say they don't get great longevity with this. I do, so that always surprises me when I hear people say that. But definitely always try things on your skin, try to get a sample first. But if you're looking for a really pretty floral fragrance, I would recommend trying Fleur Narcotique by Nihilo. It has a special place in my heart for obvious reasons, as I've already explained. And for that reason, it has to be in my top 10 for life. I now don't wear it that often because I like to wear it for special occasions. Things like my wedding anniversary, or it could be a date night, something really special to remind me of my wedding day. Anyway, my first fragrance is Fleur Narcotique by Nihilo. Next up is Soie Malaquais by Dries van Noten. This fragrance has a special place in my heart. It's really hard to explain why I resonate with this one so much, but every time I wear it, it just feels so me in a bottle, almost like a signature scent, yet I don't wear it that often because I find it really special. Now, it isn't the most unique fragrance in the world, but it is super special in my eyes. It's perfect to me. It's silky smooth, feminine, pretty, a little bit fruity, a little bit floral. There's this smooth, nutty quality throughout, a little bit of cacao, but it is silky smooth. It's a little bit tart in the opening, but this is one of the smoothest fragrances that I have ever smelt. It does have a silk note in there, which explains why it would be silky smooth, but it's such a pretty fragrance. As I already mentioned, it's not necessarily the most unique in the world, but it has been done to perfection in my eyes. One of the most spectacular bottles that I have in my collection, but I also adore the scent profile. I do save this for special occasions. I know I shouldn't, but I love it that much. Anyway, my second fragrance is Soie Malaquais by Dries van Noten. Next up is Starlight by Xerjoff. Definitely one of my favorite Xerjoff fragrances ever. There is something so incredibly special about Starlight. Really hard to pinpoint again, but it's exactly the type of notes that I really, really love. This is quite a sweet fragrance, yet it has spices throughout. It's ambery, but at the same time it's almost light to wear. Has the most incredible scent bubble. But this to me smells like really rich and luxurious baklava. Although it's not an edible gourmand in any way, it's got that kind of vibe about it, that kind of caramelized pastry with lots of cardamom. That is kind of what I'm getting from this. And then you've got the amber in the base. This is definitely more of an autumn winter fragrance, but I adore cardamom fragrances. You have to enjoy cardamom to love this one. You have to enjoy amber too, but it's quite an airy, sweet, sponge sugar, cardamom type of fragrance, and I will forever adore Starlight. I find it quite fresh because of that cardamom. Cardamom can sometimes pull a little bit menthol, and this is definitely fresh in the opening, but then it gets a little bit more sticky and resinous in the base. But my third fragrance for life is Starlight by Xerjoff. Next up is Spirituese Double Vanille by Guerlain. This vanilla fragrance is perfection in my eyes. It's not overly sweet. It's not super gourmand. It's just perfection. I would say this is a classy vanilla. I put off buying this one for the longest time, even though I liked the smell of it, because it is an expensive fragrance and it's not a beast mode by any means. It's not a super loud fragrance. So I kept toying with the idea, is it worth the money? And I am so glad I put that to one side and purchased this because it has become my favorite vanilla fragrance. There is just something incredibly special about it. It's quite a natural vanilla. It is sweet, but it's not kind of dense and sticky sweet like something similar to Bianco Latte by Giardini di Toscana. This is quite an airy, natural vanilla with a little bit of incense with some florals running through it, and it just smells so natural and delicious. And yeah, that is why it's in this list. I will forever repurchase this fragrance, and I know it's expensive, but I adore it so much, and that is why it is in my top 10 for life. Next up is Althair from Parfums de Mali, and oh, where's the lid? Just realized that. Now this is a newer fragrance to my collection, and it did surprise me that this ended up making the list. I was stood in front of my collection for hours and hours curating this list, and this one stood out to me because it's been a fragrance that I've reached for so often over the past few months. It's become somewhat of a signature scent. It's very likable. It's very easy to wear. And I think that's important because a fragrance doesn't have to be a masterpiece or a 10 out of 10 for us to really enjoy it and enjoy wearing it. So this easily made this list in the end for the fact that I find it so wearable and so likable. In essence, this is an airy, musky vanilla with spices, with a little bit of vanilla and also with some orange blossom. And it makes a perfect layering scent. So that is why it made this list. I don't think it's a 10 out of 10. I'm just going to say that here, but that doesn't mean it doesn't deserve to be in my top 10 for life, because I know I would wear this so much and it would be a real shame to not have this in my collection. So it did somewhat surprise me in some ways that it made this list, but in other ways it hasn't. So this was the next fragrance that is in my top 10 for life. Next up is One Umbrella for Two by Floraiku. Now, this is a fragrance that did not shock me that it's made this list, but it's another fragrance that I think some of you wouldn't say is a 10 out of 10 or a masterpiece, but I love this one so much. It's another fragrance that feels very me when I wear it. I find it so addictive. It gets me so many compliments too. This is a very fruity fragrance that borders on being gourmand, but at the same time, it doesn't fully go there. It does smell a little bit like a tart red and blackberry pie. It's very juicy in the opening, but there's a tea note in here which pulls it back from being too sweet. This is so delicious, it's so fun, and it nearly became my wedding day scent. I just didn't feel like it suited the vibes of an outdoor spring garden wedding. But if you watch my channel, you will know that I absolutely adore One Umbrella for Two. It's very special to me. Like I said, it's not a masterpiece of a fragrance, I have to say that, but it is incredible, especially when I wear it. It has a really great sillage, and that is why it's made this list. Again, I think it's so important that we enjoy wearing our fragrances. We don't have to focus on it having the best longevity, or it being a masterpiece, or it being the most special and the most popular fragrance out there. It has to resonate with our hearts, and this one definitely does. So this was One Umbrella for Two by Floraiku. Next up is Jardins de Misfah by Nuit Nomade. This one might not shock you if you watch my channel. Another fragrance that I really resonate with, that I enjoy wearing. It gets me so many compliments, and for that reason, it has made my top 10 for life. Now, this is one that didn't shock me. It was one of the easiest ones to pick out for this list. This is Almond, Saffron, Rose, and Dates. The dates are dense and sticky. The rose is sweet and jammy. The almond is a little bit bitter, and the saffron is sexy and spicy. This does smell a little bit Middle Eastern. It's unique, that is for sure, but it's a very sweet and sensual fragrance. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I know so many of you have tried this one now and have got samples either from Nuit Nomade, or you have purchased the full-size bottles, but this is one of the most sexy fragrances in my collection that's sweet, dense, and just really intoxicating. So it definitely had to make this list. If you love a jammy rose, but you want a little bit of twist with some sticky dates, and you like the idea of the saffron on the almonds, I would highly recommend checking out Jardins de Misfah by Nuit Nomade. Definitely always a favorite in my collection. Next up is Musk Therapy by Initio. Again, this is another fragrance that probably won't come as a surprise to you if you watch my channel. I'm going to try not to touch on this for too long because I talk about it all the time, but I had to include a strong musk dominant fragrance within this list, and Musk Therapy is the fragrance that I reach for the most out of my entire collection. It is the perfect everyday scent for me, the perfect signature scent. It's quite simple. It's a musk fragrance. It's light and fluffy, but then it has this blackcurrant note in the opening that kind of pulls like blueberry to me, but it has this sweetness in the opening, which is very enticing. I didn't like this when I tried it on paper, but then I tried it maybe 6 months later on the skin, and it grew into an absolute love. That is when I purchased it. Musks always have to be tried on the skin, but Musk Therapy is the closest thing I have to a signature scent. It will always remain in my collection. It will probably always remain in my top 10 for life unless something comes along and knocks it off its post for me, but I adore Musk Therapy. Again, it's not necessarily a masterpiece. It's not a standout fragrance. It's not necessarily a head turner, but I adore wearing it, and it makes me feel fresh, clean, and uplifted. Next up is Peregrina by Thameen. This is one of my most worn fragrances in my collection over the last 6 months. I absolutely adore Peregrina. This is a pretty girl fragrance that also leans a little bit sexy. It's a sweet, jammy rose, but I would describe it as more of a pink, delicate rose that has caramel throughout it. Those are the two main notes that I get from this. It's sweet, it's intoxicating. Oh, I might make this my scent of the day. I haven't actually picked my scent of the day yet. But yeah, I get a sweet caramelized rose. Oh, so pretty. Would make the perfect date night scent, the perfect first date scent. Also make a great scent for an everyday occasion. It would make a great signature scent, but this fragrance just makes me feel a certain type of way. Again, I'm not necessarily going to say it's a masterpiece, but I just love it every time I wear it. It feels very special to me. I feel very empowered when I wear it, and it holds a special place in my heart. And that is why it is going to make it in my top 10 for life. Let's make it my signature scent of the day. Well, not signature scent of the day. Let's make it my scent of the day. Yes, Peregrina, Peregrina, Peregrina. Chef's kiss. And last, but by no means least, we have Kilian's I Don't Need a Prince by My Side to Be a Princess, aka Princess. Now, again, this is another fragrance that I wouldn't say is a masterpiece, but it smells incredible. It's another fragrance that gets me lots of compliments. That's not why it's in this list. It's in this list because I really enjoy wearing it and I love how it smells. So this is a marshmallow floral scent, but with a tea note. And I love tea and fragrances. It has this presence to cut through sweeter notes, but make no mistake, you're definitely getting a cloud of fluffy marshmallow in the opening. It's a little bit musky, it's floral, and then you get the tea note. I find this fragrance to be super attractive. It leaves the most incredible scent trail, probably why it gets compliments. And I just enjoy wearing this. It makes a perfect everyday scent. I can wear this any time of year for any occasion. And that is probably why it made it to this list. Such an easy reach for me, so enjoyable to wear, never fails me, I never get bored of it, and that is why I have picked it. It's also on the more affordable side for Kilian fragrances. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's affordable, but it's nearly half the price of some of the other fragrances from Kilian, which intrigues me because this is my favorite Kilian fragrance. It beats Angel Share for me, it beats Love Don't Be Shy. I don't know what it is about this, but I adore it. So that is the last fragrance that makes it to my top 10 for life. So that was it for my list. Please do let me know if any of these were a shock to you or if you expected this list somewhat. But I would love to know some of the fragrances that you would pick as your top 10 for life. It could be your top 3 for life, whatever you wish to share, but I would love to hear your list. But thank you so much for watching me today. It's been a pleasure as always. I hope to see you in a future video to come. Thank you so much and goodbye.